Well, everyone, we did it. We discovered time travel. Now you can escape your damaged timelines and go all the way back to the Cretaceous period in luxury resorts. You'll be able to see your favorite dinosaurs on train safaris and relax at the highest quality resorts that are available today. And that's where Cretaceous Rails, designed by Journey and published by Spielcraft Games, begins. In this 1 to 4 player game, you'll take on the role of a competing rail company who's trying to become the greatest Cretaceous rail and resort ever. You'll have 4 rounds to collect as many victory points as you can by capturing dinosaurs, increasing their ratings, and building up your resort. I'm your tour guide, Nick Sparkman, and I'm going to teach you how to play starting with the setup. First, you'll take all these action tiles, shuffle them, and randomly place them into a 4x4 grid like so to create the action grid. Place the first player marker onto the draw cards action tile with the corresponding icon. From there, place the resort card display board within reach of all players. Shuffle all 84 resort cards and place them face down in the resort deck space near the resort card display like shown. Deal 8 cards from the deck face up on spaces within the display so that all spaces are filled. Place the round tracker onto the 1 space on the bottom of the resort card display board. Next, each player chooses a company. Note that there are really no differences when it comes to gameplay between the resorts. Just pick whichever one calls to you. In this video, we'll be setting up for a 2-player game, and I'll be playing as the Venture Park Trails Resort. Once a player has chosen their company, they retrieve their player board, 4 executives, 30 rails, 1 train engine tile, 8 train car tiles, 1 set of rating stars. Each player gets the dinosaur, jungle token, and tourists indicated here and places them on their board. They also receive 1 random card from the resort deck, which they'll add to their hand. Any leftover tourists are placed in the tourist sack, and all other components are set aside for now. In front of your player board, place the train engine tile and then add 2 of the 8 train car tiles behind it. The train engine tile is purely for aesthetic purposes only and does not affect gameplay. The remaining train cars are set aside. On your player board, place rating stars in their corresponding locations on the rating track. And now that the players are set up, let's set up the map. There are 2 starting tiles that come with the game. One has spaces for 1, 2, and 4 players, and the other is only used during a 3-player game. Since we're playing at 2 players, we will be using this starting board. From there, add a number of these map tiles randomly that's equal to the number of players. The configuration we'll be using in this video is recommended for new players, but once you get used to playing the game, there are a ton of fun and interesting ways that you can build your map on page 4 in the rulebook. Once the map is built, start populating it by placing jungle tokens in their corresponding spaces. Spaces with this symbol only get jungle tokens in a 2-player game. Then place matching dinosaur miniatures on each space marked with a dinosaur icon. From there, randomly add 4 tourists from the tourist sack on each cabin hex, as well as each player's home hex seen here. In a 1 to 2 player game, you'll only use the 2 middle home hexes marked with this symbol. The last player to have seen, felt, or heard a train goes first. Play then proceeds clockwise. Before that though, in reverse turn order starting with the last player, players will select their home hexes and place 2 rails on their starting map tile. The first rail will attach to your home hex, and the next going left or right from there following the pink outlines on the board. And that's all you need to know for setup. Cretaceous Rails is played over 4 rounds, and in each round, each player gets 4 turns. On your turn, you'll place one of your executives numbered 1 through 4 on the action grid between 2 tiles, like so. And you'll take the actions on both adjacent tiles in the order of your choice. If you place your executive next to the action tile with the first player marker on it, take the first player marker and you will go first next round. If you're the first player, you cannot take the token, but you can still place your executive next to it. Once a spot is taken on the action grid, it won't be available for the rest of the round, so choose wisely. Speaking of actions, let's go over some of the actions that you can execute on your turn, starting with laying rails. To take the lay rails action, take 2 rails from your supply and place them on the map in order to reach jungle tokens, tourists, dinosaurs, and volcanoes on the map. When placing rails, follow these rules. Rails are only ever placed on pink lines between hexes or on the edge of the board. 2 rails can be placed side by side on each pink line. 1 player cannot take up both spaces on a single edge. Newly placed rails must be connected to rails you previously placed, and a rail is considered adjacent to the hexes it touches, including the hex it is pointing to. As you build your network, your rails can fork as many times as you want them to. However, you are limited to your supply of 30 rails. Once you have placed all 30 of your rails, you may use the lay rails action to pick up and replace 2 rails that you have already placed, provided that you don't create any gaps in your network like this. When picking your routes, try to place rails next to dinosaurs, jungles, and tourist tokens so that you can make the most of other actions that you'll be taking. This symbol represents the clear jungle action. When you do this, you'll take an available jungle token from any hex adjacent to your rail network and place it on any empty train car you have available. Each train car can hold only one thing, whether that is a jungle token, tourist, or dinosaur. You need to clear the jungle because you can't capture a dinosaur and tourists can't see a dinosaur if there's a jungle token in the same hex. Additionally, some resort cards, like this one, require you to pay jungle tokens in order to play them. Remember that you need at least one empty train car to clear jungle, and as the game goes, jungle tokens on the map won't be replenished. This brings us to the safari action, which is represented by this symbol. When you take a safari action, you can take a tourist from any hex adjacent to your rail network, including your home hex and cabins that you're adjacent to, and place it in one of your empty train cars. Remember that each train car can only hold one thing. This action is used to increase the ratings of your dinosaurs, and thus creating more victory points for you for the dinosaurs that you captured at the end of the game. Essentially, what you're doing with this action is taking tourists on a train ride to go see their favorite dinosaurs, which then makes them more excited about those dinosaurs. Each tourist color corresponds to a dinosaur color and type. Red dads correspond to red T-Rexes, blue moms correspond to the blue Parasaurolophus, purple daughters correspond to the purple Titanosaurus, and green sons correspond to the green Triceratops. After you've taken a tourist from a hex onto your train car, add up the number of dinosaurs adjacent to your rail network that match the color of the tourist you picked up. You don't count dinosaurs in hexes with jungle tokens, because remember the tourists can't see through the thick trees. Also add up the number of volcanoes your network is adjacent to, because everybody's excited about seeing volcanoes. Then move the corresponding rating marker on your player board that many spaces to the right. This increases the endgame scoring value of that type of dinosaur for you, and will be one of the main ways that you score victory points. The victory point values are listed here at the top of the tracks. Rating tracks on your player board have these solid, bold black lines with a jungle token icon on the top. Whenever a rating marker would cross one of these black lines going to the right, you must pay a jungle token from your player board by placing it above the rating track, or the rating marker will get stuck on the left side of the line. You must pay this cost each time a rating star crosses one of these thresholds, even if you paid the cost before for the same or a different rating marker. As an example of the safari action, let's say I take this red dad into my train. I then count up 3 points, 2 from the T-Rexes in my network without jungle tokens, and 1 for the volcano I'm adjacent to. Then I move up 3 spaces on the ratings track for my T-Rexes, but only if I can pay 1 jungle token from my player board. Luckily I have one, so I spend it to move past the black line and move my rating marker the rest of the way. You cannot take tourists from another player's home hex, and you'll want to keep in mind that just like jungles and dinosaurs, tourists never replenish on the board during gameplay. Also, if you don't have any open train cars, you cannot take a safari action. You may have noticed a bit of a theme here. Just like with jungles and tourists, you won't be able to capture a dinosaur unless you have an empty train car. Which brings us to the next action. To take the capture a dinosaur action, simply pick up a dinosaur from a hex adjacent to your rail network with no jungle token, and place that dinosaur on an empty train car. You'll want to take this action because dinosaurs are worth victory points at the end of the game depending on their rating on your rating track. Before we get into the last 2 actions, let's go over unloading your train cars. You need empty train cars for a lot of actions, so you need to empty out your train cars from time to time. There is no action on the tile grid for this, so what you'll do is skip one of the actions that you would take on any given turn to unload all of your train cars. To do so, simply declare which action you'll be skipping and take all dinosaurs, tourists, and jungle tokens from your train cars and place them onto their corresponding areas on your player board. You can do this as your first or second action on your turn. You also get to unload all of your train cars at the end of each round as a free action. Besides freeing up space on your train cars to take more stuff from the jungle, you'll also need dinos, tourists, and jungle tokens on your player board in order to use them to pay for resort cards and moving up rating tracks. You cannot pay costs with items from your train cars until after you've unloaded them. The last 2 actions you'll see deal with resort cards. One allows you to draw resort cards, and one allows you to build resort cards. These 2 actions are incredibly important because resort cards get you a ton of victory points at the end of the game. They also give you a bunch of abilities that will allow you to do things more efficiently. When you draw resort cards, you'll take 2 from the display. Take 1 face-up card, refill it with a new one from the deck, and then take your second one and refill the display. At any time during this action, you can also elect to spend one tourist of any type from your player board by moving it into the focus group area on your player board in order to clear all 4 cards in one row of the display and replace them with 4 new ones. You can do this as many times as you wish, so long as you spend a tourist each time. You can have as many resort cards in your hand as you want, as long as you keep them a secret until you decide that you're going to build them. Speaking of, when you take a build resort cards action, you play as many cards as you want from your hand by paying the cost of each card. Your resort has 3 levels. You may only build on one level in a single action. In order to build on level 2, there must be a card in the space underneath on level 1. Similarly, to build on level 3, there must be a card in the space underneath on level 2. Each resort card has its own benefits and requirements to play, so let's take a look at some key examples. Every card has the same 4 parts: cost, effect, level boxes, and end of game scoring multiplier. To play a card, place it in a space in your resort area and pay its cost by placing the depicted dinosaurs, tourists, and jungle tokens from your player board onto that card. This is also a good time to note that whenever you see a grandma tourist, that implies that any tourist can be used to pay for the card. And whenever you see this dinosaur symbol, that means that any dinosaur can be used to pay for the card. Resort cards represent attractions at your resort. For instance, whenever you see a dinosaur in the cost, you're essentially building a habitat for that dinosaur. This is great because dinosaurs on resort cards will earn you full points at the end of the game based on the rating track, whereas dinosaurs on your player board only score you half points. Your player board is just a boring storage area, so dinosaurs there just don't benefit your resort as much as dinosaurs on display in attractions. Cards also come with effects that can be enhanced depending on what level you built them on. Some are ongoing effects, and some are immediate effects that happen when you build the card. Immediate effects are denoted by the lightning symbol seen here. This one indicates that whenever you take a capture dinosaur action, you'll be able to capture more dinosaurs according to the level it was built on. If I built this one on level 1, I'd be able to capture 1 extra dinosaur during that action. On level 2, I'd be able to take 2 more, and so on. If a card doesn't have a level box on it, then its effect is the same regardless of where it is built in your resort. Cards with level boxes of this color with a rating star above them require you to spend ratings each time you use their effect, like this one, which allows you to pay a number of ratings after taking the clear jungle action in order to unload your train cars. Whenever you pay ratings, simply choose any rating track and move the rating marker the required number of spaces to the left. You may also choose to split the cost between tracks if you want to, and if you ever cross a black line, just know that you'll have to pay the jungle token cost again to pass that line again. We talked a lot about train cars when discussing the other actions, and you might be wondering how you add more train cars to your train. The only way to do that is to build a resort card with this effect. It has a lightning bolt, so when you play it, you pay ratings depending on the level you build it on, and you add a train car to your train. There are a lot of resort cards in this game, so I'm not going to cover them all here, but if you need full explanations, they are all in the back of the rulebook. After each player has taken 4 turns, or 8 actions, the round ends by completing these steps. 1. Each player performs an unload train cars action. 2. Each player takes back all of their executives. 3. All 8 cards on the resort display are discarded and refilled. 4. All action tiles are picked up, reshuffled, and redistributed in their 4x4 grid. 5. Move the round tracker up 1 space on the resort card display board. And 6. The player who took the first player marker in the previous round puts it back on the draw cards action tile in the action grid. This player goes first in the next round. Obviously, for the final round, the first player marker does nothing. On that note, when you reach the end of the 4th round, each player takes 1 final unload cars action, and then we go straight to endgame scoring. Victory points in this game come from 2 sources, as we've touched up on. One is from dinosaurs on your board and on your resort cards, and the other is points from the multipliers that you get from your resort cards. It is a lot, but luckily there are these handy score pads for you to use to keep track of your score. Every dinosaur on your resort cards is worth the full amount of points above that dinosaur's rating marker on your rating track. In this case, my T-Rexes are worth 30 points each. My Parasaurolophus are worth 27 points each, my Titanosaurus are worth 12 points, and Triceratops are worth 15. On my cards, these dinos are worth full points, so I get 120 points for my T-Rexes, 54 from my Parasaurolophus, and 24 for my Titanosaurus. Every dino on your board is worth half points rounded down, so I'll get 6 for this Titanosaur and 7 for this Triceratops. Add your values for each dino type and write down your score. Now we look at the bottom of each of the resort cards that we've built, keeping in mind that the level that they were built on has nothing to do with the multiplier that you get. This cash icon means victory points. Each card also has a symbol representing what you'll be multiplying by. This symbol is for jungle tokens, so I see how many of these symbols are in my resort, and in this case I have 5. Now I count up all the jungle tokens on my cards and on my board. In all, I have 10, so I scored 50 points for these cards. Next is tourists. I have 2 cards with this symbol on them in my resort, and I have 6 tourists total on my cards and on my board. This totals out to 12 points. This card gives me 2 points for every volcano and cabin hex that's adjacent to my network. I'm adjacent to 3, and I have 1 card for 6 points total. I don't have any cards in my resorts for the rail multiplier, so I'll just take 0 for this one. Finally, I mark a multiplier for all of my train cars. I have 1 card and ended the game with 4 train cars for 4 points total. Add all of your points together, and the sum of those points is what you earned during the game. The player with the highest score wins, and in case of a tie, you'll just have to play a whole other game in order to determine who's the winner. And that's everything that you need to know to play Cretaceous Rails from Spielcraft Games. If you like this video or have any questions, please feel free to let us know in the comments of this video, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. I really hope this video was helpful, and I hope that you enjoy Cretaceous Rails as much as I do. Happy gaming!